Hello and welcome to season 3 of The Head Turners. This season, we're changing things up with an emphasis on in depth, one on one conversations with industry experts. Our goal is to uncover their industry insights, unique insights, and learn from their incredible journeys. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Miss Shilpi Tiwari, a leading authority in the textile industry. Your journey has been incredible. To begin with, could you share some highlights from your career and the work that you're leading?
Okay, hi Payal, and hi everybody, whoever is watching this. So I am Shilpi. I've been in the industry for about 24 years, and currently I am the country head of a Polish retailer called Pepco. Okay.
Okay. So, as we already know, the sustainability is no longer a choice but a necessity for the textile industry. From the climate change to consumer demands for transparency, the sector is experiencing a pivotal shift. Could you start with giving us an overview of how you see sustainability reshaping the textile industry?
Sure. So essentially, the current scenario is that everybody is looking at the climate change that's happening, and to counter it, obviously we need to be sustainable. Now there are parts of the world which have already been sustainable for decades, like for example Europe, and then there are other parts which still need to gain a lot of ground. The effort now, the concentrated effort, I think almost globally, is to converge in a way that we can contribute to this in one way or another, and basically achieve our sustainability goals.
And as you just spoke about Europe, which leads us to the next question, which is which emerging global markets offer the most potential for Indian soil brands, textile brands to expand and establish the strong presence?
So, Indian players in the apparel sector have established a niche positioning amongst international customers through their unique product offering, or the Indianized taste in their product. Now, Indian brands have also already have had offline retail presence in established markets, such as the US, UK, and Europe. This is because the large Indian diaspora and the growing interest in Indian culture makes US a very attractive market for Indian apparel brands.
Mhm.
Again, similarly, historical relationship between India and UK have, and the presence of a very significant Indian community again in that part of the world creates a favorable environment. Now, these are markets which have been existing for a while, but India is, I wouldn't say the flavor of the year, but we are definitely, growing in terms of presence and popularity. So for us now in this industry, the growth is leaning towards more emerging economies like the UAE, Southeast Asia, and Africa. Essentially, especially for UAE or Southeast Asia, proximity to India and certain shared cultural affinities make these a promising market for Indian apparel brands, especially in the ethnic wear area.
Mhm.
And of course, with the growing economies and the increasing interest in Indian fashion, Southeast Asia is definitely a potential market. So we've got small and mid-scale players who already have presence, even with major e-commerce and fashion e-tailing players in these digital markets in these areas as well.
Speaking of aligning with global trends, sustainability is also transforming international trade, as you just mentioned. What is your perspective on the potential of emerging markets like Japan and Russia? We already know about Europe, UK, we're working with them already for decades. Now, these emerging markets like Japan and Russia for India as a sourcing hub, how can India strategically position itself to capitalize on this opportunity?
Right. So Japan and Russia have essentially been, uh, you know, they've been around as our partners for a while, but they've not been extremely strategic or extremely big players, with us. And this dynamic is changing, and it started changing recently. So Japan is currently considered as a really extremely attractive market by Indian textile exporters.
Mhm.
The size of the Japanese clothing and textile market is estimated to be worth around $37 billion. This market has been hard to capture for the Indian exporters, as almost 90% of this market has been dominated by China.
Right.
However, now between Japan and China, the political relations are a little strained, and
Mhm.
this now leaves room for competitors. So India, we already have an FTA in place with Japan, so we are using this as an opportunity to cash in on this current opening that we see.
Mhm.
So India and Japan have always shared a strategic relationship for years, marked by mutual respect and shared goals. The Japan-India corridor is a manifestation of these deep-rooted ties, which is aimed at driving economic growth and technological collaboration in this area. So both countries essentially recognize the importance of innovation in today's economy. And through this corridor, India and Japan intend to strengthen ties in various sectors,
Mhm.
including apparel.
Right.
Even the AEPC has highlighted a major export potential for the Indian garment manufacturers to Japan.
Mhm.
And they're advising the industry to influence the free trade agreement between the two countries. There's an advantage for Indian apparel industry as they're having free duty-free access as compared to, say, a China, which has a 9.5% duty. Currently, India's share of this industry is 1.37% of that approximate of $37 billion that I mentioned. So we
Mhm.
have a huge potential.
For sure.
Now, yeah, and now with Russia, see, Russia is it for us, it is the largest market for Indian garment exports among the Commonwealth of Independent States.
Mhm.
In the past decade, the cost drivers of the India-Russia relations have been shifting. This was essentially a military partnership. And then
Mhm.
in 2022, there has been, a very dramatic uptick in our economic ties between the two countries, where India emerged as Russia's second largest trade partner, first one being China. This has attributed to the increasing discounts on oil purchases, and then of course, it's grown into various businesses. So now Russia, as we all know, has been a long-standing partner for India, and then the development of Indo-Russia relations has been a key pillar of India's foreign policy of late.
Right.
This kicked off in 2000, which when we signed the declaration of the India-Russia strategic partnership, and then it's only gone upward from there. So the goal between the two countries is that the target of $50 billion worth of trade has to be achieved by 20
Okay.
in the near future, with
Mhm.
30 billion by 2025.
Right.
Now, okay, Indian textiles and apparel exports to Russia are likely to see a huge rise, and especially with both the countries trying to make trade easier. There is a market in Russia where with the leaving of a lot of brands because of the current war, there
Concern.
is there's money, there is an appetite, and then where there's of course some Russian brands which have taken shape of those vacancies, and then they're inviting players like big players like India to also take a part in this journey. Now also trade is going to be easier because both countries are accepting payments in local currency, so these are things that help industries prosper.
Mhm.
Then there are also multiple corridors being built, to facilitate faster movement of cargo between these two countries. So again, when transit times are reduced, again, this acts as a key benefit when you want to buy from a country. Well, in terms of strategy, like I said, we are not really a huge part of Japan's, uh, strategy, or we've not been. This is primarily because of China, and also because the kind of product that India has been manufacturing is not what really Japan has been buying.
Mhm.
So our strategy essentially has to be basically to focus on those products that are exported by India. This has to be the short-term strategy, obviously the lower hanging fruit,
Mhm.
which which have a share in which have a demand in Japan as well, like t-shirts and knits essentially
Right.
100% cotton.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a small piece of this market in Japan. But the biggest part of the Japanese industry is MMF. And India is, of course, strategically working towards building this. And this should be our long-term strategy, that our development of exports to Japan has to be in MMF products. And then the third thing for Japan is also focus on quality and execution. Now,
Right.
I don't know, I'm sure everybody knows how Japanese are, sticklers for very high levels of quality
Quality.
and execution. They also are the ones who, from where Six Sigma and Kaizen, etc., comes from, zero defect. There are certain brands Japanese brand which have a zero defect policy. So all of these things are also needed if you want to work with Japan, because they are not going to I don't think, flexible in this area.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to Russia, again, so there is intent, there is already a process in place. So this is our partnership is already on solid ground. What
Mm-hmm.
we need to do as a strategy is essentially iron out the kinks. So, for example, so we spoke about, I just mentioned that the currency, I mentioned about the currency. So
Mm-hmm.
now, even though India has been able to address, we've been dealing in local currencies, we've also had certain, payment challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So we are trying to address those, SEBI is trying to kind of help with that. Because we do not have enough portfolios into investment into the country by Russia's banks into multiple areas or multiple sectors. It's been limited to probably one or two sectors, and then again, that's limiting business.
Mm-hmm.
Then Russia has been classified as a high risk country by our Financial Action Task Force for years.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of impedes ECGC from giving, so ECGC also then classifies it as a high risk country. So then it, financial getting credit or opening an LC, etc., becomes difficult, when there is something like this in place. Then I mentioned something like that corridor. So again, this transit corridor. So there
Mm-hmm.
are three in place between India and Russia.
Right.
And these corridors can actually cut transit times between India and Russia from 45 days to 25 days.
When that takes,
And
yes.
then also reduce freight costs by 30%. So that's again an added incentive.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, lastly, customs procedures need to be tweaked a little bit. I think they're not digital enough. And, these are, again, this is an area where the governments are already trying to iron this out and,
Mm-hmm.
kind of make trade easier.
So it's not just innovation that we've always heard. It's not just that we lack quality. It's not, it's more than that. I mean, we've always had bigger things to look at instead of just what we've always heard. Quality. We've always heard that India doesn't uh, provide the quality that everyone's looking at, whereas the global market is not really, it has changed over, I mean, I feel this decade, if not back then.
Correct, correct. Uh, so, sorry, I didn't hear your question clearly. I
That's
heard bits of it.
okay. So I was, how can the Indian textile align itself with global sustainability goals, such as circular economy practices or achieving carbon neutrality,
So,
while
so in
expanding
terms
into
of,
international markets, obviously?
yes. So I'm sure we all know, anybody who's from this industry knows that textile and manufacturing is one of the most polluting industries globally, right? And roughly, 80% of textile waste that is generated is not recycled.
Mhm.
So our industry is responsible for a lot of global pollution. So essentially, our industry finds itself kind of in a dilemma, as it is
Mhm.
struggling to balance its targets of productivity and production, and then also its sustainability goals. So now the current system of production is very linear, and therefore it is not sustainable, as there is really no thought given to the impact on the environment. So
The
a circular
consequences.
economy can actually um, be something like a game changer,
Mhm.
where if we can adopt, if Indian suppliers and manufacturers adopt to these kind of practices, they can make a lot of gains in this area.
Mhm.
So global discussions on circular economy have to be clearer, for us. We are again doing this in bits and pieces. Now, as a country, we are both a consumer and a producer of textiles.
Right.
But, which means we actually have the right, environment to be an absolute circular economy,
Right.
because that's what it entails, right? You end up reusing whatever has gone into the supply chain,
Right.
and there is no limited wastage. So with the world's biggest fashion brands increasingly committing to net zero targets, we are witnessing an upwards momentum for sustainability in the international fashion area.
Mhm.
So the era of environmental and social awareness, as well as governance in the textile industry, has to be the major focus for India, which means concerted policy action, such as, for example, the European Union's Circular Economy Action Plan, or which basically makes way for the transition into a circular economy.
Mhm.
Or there's a bill that's been recently introduced. It's called the New York Fashion Bill for supply chain mapping. And these are and other such collaborations will really affect the Indian textile sector, given the crucial role that we have in our global textile and apparel value chain. So essentially, we are, and like I said, circularity is not just creating a system where you're producing, but you're essentially creating a system where resources are reused, recycled, and maintained for as long as
Possible.
possible,
Huh.
right?
For sure.
And which means it kind of contrasts with all that we've been doing in our industry for so many decades, which says we make it and then we dispose of it.
Yeah.
So to be able to implement like this, we can have we can break down the whole process into a few steps, and kind of either focus on all of them together, or do them one by one, get them out of the way and get to the next one, but essentially reach a full circle. So for example, starting with implementing zero liquid discharge policies in the
Mhm.
textile value chain systems. So Europe is already doing something like this. There are other parts of the world which are not, and then India included. So this is something that is, I think, imperative, because at the end of the day, it goes into the entire chain, and clean water is a big point of discussion at the moment when we're talking about climate and the planet and sustainability. Then fully utilizing recyclable materials and ensuring zero waste. Then sustainable practices in textile manufacturing, which actually will end up contributing towards building sustainable cities and communities, because at the end of the day, we are protecting the planet and the communities that live on it. Then responsible consumption and production. So again, make sure that our production processes are more responsible, make sure that there is awareness about the environmental impact on vis-a-vis fashion or fast fashion, and then promoting sustainable alternatives, and then climate action. So again, the textile industries move towards circularity, basically contributes towards climate action by reducing emissions and moving towards net zero emissions. We can play a really significant role in combating climate change. Yeah. So pretty much that, and essentially the crux is that we look at life, on land, and then we look at life in water with
Mhm.
whatever we are spewing out as waste into the planet.
Right. So the market opportunities clearly are immense, but policies and
Yes,
partnerships are crucial enablers. So there's
yes.
also India's National Textile Policy 2020. For example, emphasizes sustainable practice and global collaborations like Better Cotton Initiative. How do you see
Yes.
government policies and international partnerships shaping the path towards sustainability?
So, government policies are, obviously crucial in getting any of this, moving.
Mm-hmm.
As a country, we're facing a lot of limitations and in terms of infrastructure and cost constraints, etc. Where if we are able to overcome them quickly enough now, and I'm again contributing this thing specific to our industry, we can actually take leaps and bounds into making inroads towards being a more formidable challenger when it comes to doing this kind of business internationally, because there are other countries which have moved quite a lot ahead of us.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a nutshell, and I just want to keep this as simple as possible. So, the in terms of the policies that I think we should have, fast term, should be essentially the government should provide incentives, regulations, and certification schemes that encourage responsible sourcing.
Right.
We should have more subsidies in technology implementation towards better energy.
Mm-hmm. We are all
Um,
been talking about digitalization, so for sure.
yes, yes. And then we should have infrastructure investments into capacity expansion, which can create a more price competitive, manufacturing hubs, and or maybe create special economic zones, or I don't know, testing and certification labs also, industrial parks which are
Already
near
being.
ports, yeah, near
Mhm.
ports, etc. Right?
Yeah.
Then coming to what you said, technology. So, knowledge sharing. So, of course, there's a lot of knowledge that's already created and available. So, as a country, we should find some strategic partnerships to be able to facilitate some knowledge exchange and
Mm.
transfer. And then, of course, government's investments into MSME and private sectors both.
That's a great point for the role of collaboration. So, since you already mentioned the digitalization and the tech, how can the integration of digitalization and automation in the textile industry accelerate sustainable efforts, particularly in reducing waste and optimizing the resources? I mean, we're all talking about efficiency, how we need to use our resources more mindfully. So, how do you think that the integration of digitalization would help that?
So, in a nutshell, all of these processes are going to lead to energy and resource savings.
Mhm.
That's what it's eventually going to end with, which is going to be more sustainable. So, so digital technology is, of course, very crucial, and we've made a lot of foray into this in various segments of our industry, or a value chain. So there is data analytics, there's the Internet of Things, there's AI. So, and our factories are, basically using these in the not so conventional ways as well. So, for example, Internet of Things sensors can be deployed in factories to monitor and optimize energy usage. So, when we talk of green factories, these are things that these guys are doing already. So, obviously, lower energy means lower impact on the environment.
Right.
Then AI powered data analytics can help optimize production planning, inventory management, get better forecasts, and basically produce more efficiently and minimize waste
Mhm. And reduce the cost as well. So, I mean, it works
and
both
reduce the
ways.
correct and reduce the cost as well.
Hmm.
Then, we have technology advancements in printing as well. So, printing and dyeing, washing as well. So, for example, in denim washing, there are technologies which allow us now to wash a pair of jeans with just one cup of water. And then we have technologies like laser, which can completely replicate the effect of, all the washed out grinding and all of that we have in denims. Then we have printing technologies like digital printing, which are again quite popular now, and they're also cheaper, so more affordable. Then, we have blockchain technologies, which are helping traceability and transparency in the value chain. So, these, help with transportation, delivery of products, and then also enable us to kind of, recycle them in a more sustainable manner. Then we have something like 3D, so which has been around for a while. So essentially, it makes the whole life cycle of a garment kind of shorter and more efficient. It reduces the need of samples for fitting or for visual, etc. Our carbon footprint is reduced, and we end up saving energy.
I mean, I think you made it easier for all of us to understand that sustainability definitely thrives on innovation. We've seen advancements, like you mentioned, waterless dyeing, circular fabrics, even blockchain for traceability. This brings to the end. Thank you for sharing the valuable insights today. It's clear that the path of 2030 is filled with these challenges, but also immense opportunities for all of us. We're honored to have you here and listen to you, Amin. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Payal. This was lovely. All right.